That's
what you're saying to people. Don't be afraid of the odd bit of high-intensity exercise, intermittent fasting. We should stand up now, right? Shouldn't we just stand up for 2 seconds?
Because I love that.
Yeah. I've learned this from you.
But move.
Okay, so what should we do now?
So do something.
Do some squats.
Yeah, do some squats.
Yeah.
But not 5.
Yeah, okay, what, 20?
Well, 40.
40, okay, all right, good.
That's good.
Okay, this is good. This is good. We'll do an advert or a sponsorship at this point.
Yeah, you call this a sitting break?
Yeah. So this is a sitting break, which is a break from sitting,
exactly.
Right? I think it's really important that people understand that a sitting break is do not sit for a while.
If you engage in a sitting break, 2 minutes, 8 times a day, and I know that I can't talk about cancer, but I can talk about cancer prevention, the probability of getting cancer, overall probability, decreases with 50%.
So just to clarify, do this 8 times a day, and you'll have a 50% reduction.
Of cancer possibility.
Wow. Of all cancers or just certain cancers?
Of all cancers.
Thank you.
And that's something which has been a coincidence in the study. But we talk about 21,540 persons that have been followed for 27 years.
Wow.
Quite representative.
Well done. Which countries? Western countries?
Yeah. Our people.
Right.
Because we are ill.
Right. Our Western ill people.
Exactly. And the outcome was very interesting. Very interesting. Because they got rid of all the confounders. Smoking, drinking, etc. And so the outcome, they themselves said, wow. But those people who did the sitting breaks, they were never told to. They did it spontaneously. Yeah, that is something you have to add. They did it spontaneously. So people who were not able to sit...
They filled out diaries.
Yeah, and they were followed. So not only once, they were followed.
Yeah.
And they were asked, why do you do it? I don't know, but I do it.
Wow.
And then, so there were 3.8 minutes to 4.9 minutes decreased overall cancer susceptibility for something like 27%. Lifelong, all type of cancers. But those people who did 16 minutes a day, without knowing why they did it, they really didn't know, their susceptibility decreased 50%.
And that's, this is 16 minutes of total exercise a day or what?
No. 8 bounds of 2 minutes each, which is in totally 16 minutes.
Okay. Does it have to be spread out rather than, you can't just do 16 minutes in one go?
No.
Because it maintains your system.
Physical exercise does not compensate for sitting time.
Okay, I think that's really important.
Sitting time is really...
You need to break up the sitting time.
Exactly. And so don't think I've been sitting 10 hours and I'm going to jog for 2 hours.
Right.
No compensation at all.
What's happened to the body during sitting? What's happening that's suboptimal?
Pre-diabetes.
Your immune system, I guess, must be compromised.
Well, a very, very important thing, transit time in your gut increases. So that means stool literally obstructs the gut. Estradiol production, breast cancer.
Okay.
49,000 women every year are diagnosed with breast cancer. And the upstream most important cause, sitting time.
Wow.
It's incredible.
So these three things, these three dogmas, you're keen and you're hopeful, you're explaining that people are opening up to the idea of rethinking. What new paradigm does cPNI explain? How do you, if you were standing in front of, let's say you're speaking to, both doctors might be watching this, or normal people, or not doctors aren't normal people. How would you explain? They're all going to be at a dinner party soon, or they're going to be out with their mates at Lyon soon, wherever. And they're going to turn and they'll say, "Oh, I saw his podcast with this guy Leo Pruimboom." What do you want them to say to their friend?
That we are in charge of our health. And that means the blueprint of life, since 2000, when we described the human genome, we thought we found the blueprint of life. That is incredibly far away from the truth. It's a dogma. Deterministic genetic thinking.
Did someone get a Nobel Prize?
A few of them. There were 3. We have to take it away. They were not right. They were not right. So what came out? Genes do not have agency, and they also do not have any purpose. They're just codes for a protein, and that's it. That's nothing else. And what do? They do what we want. They don't do what they want because they don't think, they don't feel. If you put DNA on a Petri thing, and you look at it, nothing happens. Nothing happens. So they don't live. They are not the blueprint of life. We are, and we got. And people should know we have an incredible brain. That brain is so important that it can even produce infertility if we use it too much. Okay, that important it is.
By the way, what is the mechanism for that? I have to ask you. We'll be getting this bit out. What's the mechanism?
You cannot even imagine how it works.
We'll come that whole episode, new episode. Carry on.
Because it's so fascinating.
Okay, we'll carry on. We'll come back to that.
Okay. So there are no like the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. They were always defined as autonomic. They are not autonomic at all. We control them.
With our rational or our unconscious? With our cognitive conscious brain or with our unconscious brain?
With everything. It is our behavior and in charge of those systems. Okay? So the organism is the blueprint of life. We are an organism, and evolution gave us an incredible brain. So why don't we use it in our benefit? If people know that eating too much is not good for them. People know that sitting too much is not good for them. But there is something which impedes them, prevents them to change their behavior. That is the right question. Why
that inertia?
Having this incredible brain, we don't use it in our benefit. That's the real problem. The real problem is not that people eat bad things, because bad things, they are in our context. It's available.
Is it that the context we've created for ourselves is inconsistent with our natural healthy behaviours? Or our natural healthy behaviours? Is it the relationship between our context and our natural healthy behaviours is driving the results?
But the thing is, okay, our brain produced the actual environment.
Yeah.
We are in charge.
You're describing the human conundrum, which is we created something that is now screwing us.
And that's why we are now in the Anthropocene.
Right, yeah.
It's called like this, the Anthropolithicum. We made this. Yeah. But it was not a wrong decision.
It was a series of rational decisions at the time that led to something. But they were very good.
Because if we would not have invented agriculture, we would not be able to nourish 8 billion people. It would be impossible. And I love the existence of planes. That's why I got to know you now.
Thank God for planes.
And I love a seat and a bed. The fantastic things. Wonderful. But what we did not know the moment we invented them is the downstream consequences of it. That is what we didn't know. And my parents,
side effects.
they smoked 2 packages of cigarettes every day.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that it was bad for them. So it's not about the inventions, it's about the actual consequences.
So modern life is really about constantly dealing with the unintended consequences and the side effects.
Exactly.
I mean, I go to a supermarket, right? And the supermarket is soulless. There's fluorescent lighting, there's CCTV cameras, there's a security guard chewing gum staring at you, but it's cheap and there's a lot of processed foods. For me, it's a terrible outcome. But every single person that made a decision for cost, for profit, for optimization, for transit, not bodily transit, for security, every one of those persons thought they were going to get promoted for making the decision that got us to that place.
Exactly.
So how do we deal with the fact as a human? How do we deal with this?
So that's why I always say, okay, this is what we see. Now we need 2 more things. Yep. We have to know how it works, but also we have to know why it works, how it works.
Oh, okay, I love this. Yeah. So we're going to have to get ahead about this. So we want to know, what? Sorry.
So it's not the, people always think about causes. Now first this is how it works.
How it works.
And then the evolutionary explanation of the why it works, how it works.
Right, okay, yep.
So the first thing is very easy. We have a very, very primitive brainstem that only wants 2 things: reproduction and survival. Yeah. And that's still part of our brain, and that we can never get rid of that part of the brain. Then second, we have a stress system, which we call the expanded acute stress system, and we have the antidote. Well, you know what the antidote of that system is? The reward system.
Okay.
And so I am hungry, and that's stress. I eat, that's a reward, and it should be the end. If it's the end, don't worry, you will never get ill. But just suppose the following thing. I am hungry. So people say, think hungry, what do you mean? I mean the micronutrient zinc. Yeah? And we have really sense receptors that detect the deficiency of micronutrients.
Right.
For instance, zinc, magnesium, and calcium are 3 micronutrients that are sensed by exactly the same receptor.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
No, it's not weird. I'll show you why.
Yeah.
It's called the TRP M6 and M7. So that those receptors are all on all sensoric nerve endings. Yeah. So in the skin, in the muscles, we're constantly sensing if there's enough zinc, if there's enough calcium, and if there's not, it's incredible but true, it produces a signal that in normal natural life would produce bitter hunger. We would search for bitter
which we don't
nutrients.
Get enough of.
Because zinc, calcium, and magnesium, the 3 of them, they taste like umami.
Right.
And umami is bitter. So I'm hungry.
Yep.
I still sense what I should sense, and I'm going to search for food in which zinc, magnesium, and calcium are available.
Examples.
Shellfish.
Yep.
The 3 of them are more than enough. Then I eat it. My reward system is activated. And
should be the end.
And what I was looking for, and what I searched, was completed. The end. Then you look in the brain of human beings, and then human beings produce morphine. And morphine has got nothing to do with all those other opioids. Because endorphins and enkephalins, the source of that is a big molecule which is called preopiomelanocortin. It's a huge protein that falls apart in different hormones, but they are all produced when you're stressed. You don't produce endorphins when you're happy. you produce endorphin when you're stressed. People don't know that because it facilitates the search. Okay, you're searching, but you cannot be painful with.
It's the prize.
It's the price you pay.
It's the motivation.
Yeah. So you produce a lot of endorphins when you're searching, and then you find what you were looking for. Then the search process is completely stopped. That's the reward system. The reward system is unique in human beings, and that is the antidote of stress. So now, what is the big problem? We suffer stress, but we don't notice it. Because nanoparticles are sensed by sensoric nerve endings, but they don't know what it is.
Can you explain, obviously people have heard nanoparticles,
Air
in
pollution.
all sorts of examples.
Everything. Air pollution. Yeah? So the air pollution in London is 10^23 nanoparticles per cubic meter. So we are inspiring nanoparticles. We're eating pesticides. The pollution is the worst thing you can imagine. But I can give you 1,000 more
examples.
unknown risk factors.
A trillion.
Yeah,
a trillion inputs.
A trillion, but
algorithmically,
a trillion is a lot.
So let's just deal with 3.
Yeah, that's enough. But the thing is, we send something that produces a stress reaction, but we don't know what it is. So what does it produce? Nervous, hunger, and I don't know what to eat. Yeah. So what are we going to do? We're going to search for activation of the reward system. And because we don't know what we're searching for,
it's broad. It becomes a broad response.
We find ultra-refined food.
Yeah, right.
And ultra-refined food is incredibly rewarding. I don't know, but if you eat caramelized popcorn, that is fantastic. And the taste is fantastic. But it does not contain magnesium, zinc, and calcium. So that means that you can't stop searching.
So this has blocked what was traditionally a natural and powerful process to search bitter foods.
Yeah.
And our environment has confused our system
Completely.
such that it's ended up it's flailing around really for some kind of response to the stress, yes? But because it's non-specific, it just wants to get the rewards from the endorphins or the dopamine, but it's seeking those responses, but it doesn't know exactly, it doesn't target sufficiently to the right things.
We don't know what we're looking for.
Because it's like, I know something's wrong, so it starts grasping. This is the body and the mind, one thing, grasping for that endorphin flow or that dopamine response. Is that right?
No. The endorphin is the stress. Once again.
Okay.
The endorphin is the search.
But is it also? So the endorphins motivate the search.
Yes.
But where does the reward? What at a hormonal level? What does the
real
reward?
The real reward would be morphine.
Okay.
But now
But not dopamine.
No. Dopamine is converted in morphine.
Okay.
Because morphine, I told you, endorphins and enkephalins, they come from a molecule which is called pre-opiomelanocortin.
Yes.
Morphine comes directly from dopamine.
Okay. But so the morphine is the result. So dopamine plays a role in that cascade.
Of course.
But you're talking about the end result of that cascade.
The end is morphine.
Okay. So when people talk about a dopamine response from an addiction, really that cascades down to morphine response.
And so what lacks is morphine.
Got it. Makes sense.
Because that is the end.
Thank you.
And those two weird systems, the brain and the immune system, they don't like open ends.
So when we're eating ultra-processed foods, does it cascade down to the morphine response or not?
No.
It doesn't. It stays where?
It's in the endorphin pathway.
So it stays at the endorphin. So you've got this constant motivation to seek.
So you first feel, the first thing is I like it. The second is I like it. The third thing, I want it. Human every animal
Yep.
prevails because of the connection between systems. And we call that system. And the two super organs responsible for that are the brain, the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, and the immune system, okay? And they have a connectome. They are connected by not only endocrinology, not only neurology, no, by much more communicating pathways. So what I do is I research that connectome. If the communication between the brain and the immune system is okay, disease is literally impossible. Because then both systems, they would not make mistakes. But even if they do make mistakes, they do not make mistakes. Because in neuroeconomy, which is part of PNI, you always talk about one big law. It's all about energy. And the best example is, for instance, if somebody has a necrotic toe and it doesn't hurt, that's the weirdest thing you can imagine. It's almost dead and it does not hurt. But then you look at inside that part of your body, and there is no blood circulation. If there's no blood circulation, there's no energy. And if there's no energy, you can't sense anything. And if I tell you how it works, that is really about energy. But the same holds in whatever thing we have to sense. If there is no ATP, which is energy,
Fundamental energy, yeah.
then sensing is disordered.
Okay.
It can be too much or too little, nothing, or something which not even exists.
There's an appropriate access to sensing.
Exactly. So if you then look at the way the brain and the immune system communicate, then you see not only by hormones, but much more important, they communicate through extracellular vesicles. And that are packages. And those packages of things are the oldest on Earth. So one cellular organisms, they didn't have DNA, but they had these packages. Yeah. And these packages, they are filled up with bubbles and speckles. And you say, what are bubbles and speckles? That are proteins in a liquid form. Can you imagine? And they can, it's like condense on, so that's why you call it biological condensates.
Right.
Yeah? And there are literally water drops. You know what they can do? They can cut themselves half, in 4, in 8. What they do is become so tiny, small, that they can enter a cell. They're too big. They're cut in 8 parts. The 8 go in and they become 1 drop again. If you look at that, so fascinating. And then you see, and what do? That's what you asked me. They change the germline epigenetics. They go from the brain to the germline, enter the spermatozoid, and tell the spermatozoid, hey, epigenetically, you have to die. Literally, you're going to die because you are not...
Expect to die.
Yeah.
So this is a germ that we don't want. This is entering the cell of an invading...
Because the brain tells, I don't need you.
We don't want that. Okay.
I don't want you.
Interesting.
So if you look at it, it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating.
Incredible.
And then you start to understand the word mindset. And then it's about time that people start to think about, again, a purpose in life, agency, and control. And those 3 things is clinical PNI. Agency,
yes.
I can make my decisions.
Yes.
Purpose, and that those decisions have a goal. and control, and I am in charge and not some cell in my body. So everything is everywhere at the same time, and that everything can be influenced by everything. That's PNI.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Can I clarify and build on that with an understanding of the everything happens at once everywhere, and also the impact that you found of observable implications of different emotions on the body? So the everything happens everywhere at the same time. Does that mean that when, for example, I'm stressed or I have a thought, that every cell in my body knows that? It knows that I'm having that thought. It responds to that.
Every cell.
At once.
At once.
Is that through both the nerve system and the endocrine system, or the hormonal system?
Neurology, endocrinology,
Yes.
mitochondriology.
Yes.
Because mitochondria, they travel from organ to organ.
Yes.
Extracellular vesicles.
Right.
And the thing everybody forgets, and physics.
Which could be frequency,
light.
Or could be light, or
light. Just light.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, and people, you know what a déjà vu is.
Well, I just like to know how it works and why it works how it works.
So you drive in a car, you go to Rome, you enter Rome, you said, I have been here before. No, you haven't. You've seen it before. But you haven't. It was so fast, 3.8 times 10 high 8.
So you're saying déjà vu is something happening instantaneously, and your memory is laid down instantaneously, milliseconds before.
Because it was very fast.
Right. Okay.
So electricity is the best way to communicate.
Yeah.
You probably know that the taxus tree, of which the oncology has synthesized taxotere, taxol, the taxus tree, if it's free in nature, it's not toxic. When some animal starts to eat the fruits,
it makes itself toxic.
It makes it toxic.
It's like a short-term response in order to not get eaten.
But the most interesting thing is that in the speed of light, all taxus trees in a diameter of 300 miles become toxic.
Wow. So there's been a lot of work on like understanding the impact of trees and, I think, Isabel tree or whatever it was, people have said, wow, these things communicate. Are you saying it's through a mechanism of light? And how does that mechanism work?
Yeah, but
do we know that?
I think we know that.
So it's emitting a light?
Of course.
But
you are emitting light.
Yeah.
If you look at a human being in the dark, then you're not dark.
Right. Yeah.
Then you say, hey, that's weird. You're naked. I can see you.
This brings me to, I've been reading a lot about the Toltec religions, and I think Don Miguel Reyes, I can't pronounce his name very well, I don't think, but talks about two things. It talks about the idea of, in his traditional, native thinking, we are light beings and we are light fundamentally. And the other one is about the dreams that we create, which is through domestication, we are given parable stories. We're told stories about ourselves. We're told stories about the world, and they're not true. So they act like a smoke between us and the mirror. They don't allow us to see ourselves or the universe or the world properly because of the smoke, because of all these wrong ideas that we create. And so it's interesting when you're talking about human agency and you're talking about we can, in our martial art that we do, Wing Chun, you have to free yourself from the mistaken and unhelpful stories that we've been told. Now, arguably, these three dogmas were unhelpful stories that humans told each other and created conventions that were wrong. How do you talk about emotion and how we need to regulate our emotions? And what effect do emotions have on our immune system or our endocrine system?
I would never regulate emotions.
Okay.
If there's a problem in your life and it is solvable, then positivism is anti-cancerous. So you produce a problem. You can study that literally, the cause consequence. You make a problem. You show so a group of people solve that problem. You look at the activity of the immune system, migration of immune cells, and you see an anti-cancer response, which is very interesting. If the same group of people present an unsolvable problem, okay, then there are people who are opportunistic. They think it's solvable. Then their optimism decreases the anti-cancer response. So in the pessimistic people, they have a anti-carcinogenic response.
I've come to the conclusion that there's a very big difference between positivity and optimism. And I've actually now, and optimism is a conjecture about the future, but positivity is a response in the moment. Does that make sense? So in our martial art, positivity, not optimism, is a key part of our martial art.
Okay, for instance, a thing is not solvable. Be positive about the fact that you have to be a pessimist. Be positive now to, in the future, have a pessimistic mindset. That's good for you. Positive, that's good for you.
Yeah.
But you have to be a pessimist. That's good. And if you are a negative person,
it's realism driven into positivity. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but at the same time,
because we're all going to die, right?
Yeah, probably.
So therefore, probably statistically, likely.
Statistically, yeah.
But therefore, choose to be positive now. That's the ultimate juxtaposition of a ultimate death versus positivity. Because why wouldn't we choose positivity now to enjoy this moment that we do have? But carry on. Yeah.
Do you make a fuss of little things?
When I'm relaxed and I'm feeling natural, I'm feeling accessing my true self, I do not.
You do not.
When I feel like the overwhelm of the nanoparticles and the trillion things,
then you do.
Then I do.
Exactly.
And I think we all know the difference between our relaxed self and
So what you're saying is you cannot separate your sensoromotoric sensing of thinking, of feeling, of sexing, of socializing, of spiritualizing, and if I would continue, I would end up with 25 domains. The thing is, they are inseparable. So if my thoughts, my social life, my sexual life, and my emotional life are in coherence, then the brain and immune system take care of us. It goes wrong when there is a conflict between them. I'm going to give you a very simple example. Just suppose I take this up and it shoots in my back. Oh, and afterwards they make an X-ray and I have a huge prolapse. This is going to be a problem. I'm not going to understand it. Because I haven't done anything. I just took up this, it doesn't even weigh anything. So what's going to happen? My thoughts are not in coherence with my sensoromotoric experience. So my emotion's going to be fear. Oh, I can't bow anymore. And then the physiotherapists tell me I have to bow like this. So believe me, this fear is not at all positive. This is only a chronified...
It's inappropriate.
It's an inappropriate emotion. So there are only emotions, and people should have to understand that if an emotion is appropriate, it's never, ever negative.
Okay, it's useful.
It is useful, because otherwise we would not be able to feel it.
So are emotions both a product of a physiological happening and the cause of them, or are they completely overlapping?
No, I think that what you're saying is so important.
Yeah.
That it's not only a consequence, it's even a need. If you do nothing, if you do really nothing, which is called sensoric deprivation, then your brain is going to be more active than ever.
In a good way.
In a synchronizing way, that is the word for it.
So, for example, Ash, who I mentioned earlier, and my friend Brendan has done this before. Brendan, a year ago, went into a cave for 3 days, darkness, no sound, and he said it was one of the most profound things that he's done.
That's nothing.
The sort of thing, the sort of nothing that you're talking about.
And that's nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And that is something we've done always.
Yeah.
There's nothing in sleep.
Yeah.
If you look at brain activity and immune activity in sleep, it's more active than ever.
Right.
Yeah? And what you see is neurons, they start to synchronize. And everything what has happened here, the best thing would be really, if we want to remember it, don't do anything afterwards. Don't look at your phone. Don't write. Don't do anything. Produce sensoric deprivation.
So does that clean out clutter and allow us to access what is appropriate and fundamental?
It eliminates noise.
So there's the noise.
The noise.
And then do we get better at sensing the importance?
Exactly. Then you get contact with your body.
Yeah.
Because then you synchronize. What you synchronize? Emotions, thoughts, the social environment, light, what we hear, what we smell, what we feel, your gut, your bowel activity, everything converges, which is incredible, on 2% of the whole brain. So just 2% of the brain responsible for sensing everything at the same time, and it has to be synchronized. So once again, when you do nothing, emotions come out. And they're not a consequence of physiology, it's spontaneous thinking, it's spontaneous feeling. And if you look at it, and you look at the parts of the body producing those feelings and thoughts, they were neglected. So in nothinging, your body tells you literally what you need, And then we come back to those people who do these sitting breaks without knowing why they don't. That's...
They were in tune subconsciously with the need to do it. They didn't consciously decide, but they were not normalized because we use the word in two different contexts, but they were naturally living.
They did something which is called spontaneous physical activity.
And that was the response of possibly them being in tune with their body, and their body was in a response cycle or was producing this outcome, producing this exercise.
What it means is exercising is a basic need, and we should also move without a purpose.
Right.
Just moving
just like we should meditate without a purpose.
Or that we should socialize without a purpose.
Play, exactly.
And play. And so again, this is how it works. Why it works, how it works, is I think is also. But then we need a mechanism. Can we reproduce? Can we reactivate SPA in human beings?
SPA.
Spontaneous physical activity, SPA, SPA. So just moving because I need to move. I don't know why, but I need to move. So that is what we did. We searched for the mechanism behind it.
Amazing. And what did you find?
The microbiome, but in the duodenum. So bacteria that in the duodenum convert glucose in lactate that never reaches the liver but goes into the brain directly. And you start moving, although you do not even know why.
Are you familiar with the work of Mel Robbins?
Of course.
So she had the 5-second rule, where she said, right, I'm going to count down from 5 to 1. She was depressed. She wasn't getting out of bed. So she wrote pros and cons. She tried to train the cognitive brain, but she trained her autonomic nervous system to get out of bed on 1. And then she realized that movement created psychological change.
Yeah. So what happens?
Yeah.
You're sitting too much.
Yeah.
What is happening with that spa microbiome? It disappears.
Yeah.
Because
monotony
it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was with the bushman in Botswana, it was very interesting. I measured my microbiome before, and I measured my microbiome after. I had a completely different microbiome. In 24 hours in Holland, I had my old microbiome again in 24 hours. So I have been there for nothing. So which means, what was different there in comparison with Holland? It was nature.
Yeah.
It was no pollution.
Yes.
I didn't sit at all.
Yeah.
I didn't write. I didn't do all those things we do here. Yeah. So it's much more than food.
Yeah.
It's much more than food.
100%.
It is not food only. Yeah. It is everything at the same time.